So as I think about the overall community owning parts of the land, like roads and connecting of areas between them, there's actually a really interesting place, two of them actually, but we'll start with one, uh, that would be the largest that would be owned by the community, central community. One is a large area set aside as being good for festivals or private gatherings. And that area, in theory, would be in practice probably would be available to everyone in the larger community at all times. However, they have to understand that they're entering into a community space and that sometimes there's going to be private workshops there. Uh, it's a very connective area. It has land area with a lot of important places. It connects to a lot of important places. It is a hub of everyone's going to pass through that area. And so, um, within that area, the workshop is actually higher value than the use of a resident. The use of resident has their own community they're part of, they have their own neighborhood. But this is an area that's very private, that its infrastructure could be improved dramatically and allow a lot of trusted, good people to come and visit it. Now, I've talked about that being the option for the south side, and that's generally more public. This is a different kind of public, and I need to kind of define what I mean by the word public, because I don't mean the actual public. Everybody should be making a social agreement to be participating in anything on the land. Well, this particular one would be chosen groups of people who have applied and are part of some program. And they're not residents, they're not invested residents, but it's one of the best places to live. It has access to a lot of other spaces. And I would like to keep it generally fairly quiet, but it will have mixed use. And I will build buildings for mixed use. So when I talk about something like an art school, a yoga teacher training program that's going on all the time, or uh, a lot of programs that you have to apply for and definitely have to be here for longer, I'm imagining them up there. And so that becomes part of the ownership of the overarching nonprofit. But as a philosophy, we want to keep that area serving as many of the residents as possible to create programs that bring in other people that are bringing in more money. So, like if we had well, it really depends. Land use is a major issue that I'm confused as hell by. I know that there's certain aspects that almost every neighborhood will have. Yeah, they'll have food storage, they'll have restaurants, they'll have housing, they'll have temporary housing associated with them or nearby so that visitors could come and visit them. How private a community is varies widely, but what I'm saying is that this particular community is designed uh, for workshops, and so that should just be part of the understanding. Each different part of the land can have a different ownership model. That's lovely. These lights just die all of a sudden. They're really dumb little lights. They only cost like $4 each. So it's not a surprise they suck. Oh. And I think with the drone map, it's going to be time to make decisions about that. Those are not set in stone for now because I don't have any owning residents, right? And one of the questions is how can someone go from being a non owning resident to an owning resident? Well, it's investment. And I notice a lot of this intentional community stuff, they gloss over, make convoluted, or just don't even bother to have the conversation about how does this thing financially operate. And we should get real clear about it, just right up front. There's so many people looking for a community in which they pay nothing. And I've been talking to people like that, and it's like the conversations end up dying out anyway. They're never willing to say how much they want to pay to live somewhere. And it's going to cost to live somewhere. There is no free lunch. There's nowhere else you can go and live for free out in society and, get your free rent and stuff. And basically, many of these people are asking for a job that pays them everything and isn't very well defined. And ultimately, they can do what the fuck they want, and it's going to be a pain to kick them out. They're a threat to the community. So get real with it, get honest with it, and say what you offer. And a lot of people are dreamers, and they say, well, I want to start a program there, but then they have no plan to start that program. They don't have a track record in some cases, or they haven't shown me one. Some of them say, oh, yeah, we've hosted events and stuff. And it's like, well, where's your resume of fucking events? I want to see pictures of them. I want to know that you're bringing in a market. I want to have you have an actual plan. Let's just cut the shit. A community cannot exist without money coming into it. And I'm bringing a lot to the table. I'm offering a huge amount of tangible and intangible things. And so prove it. Prove that we can create a community of a bunch of people who are bringing in fairly large amounts of wealth or already have it, and they're willing to invest that in the community and are prepared to have conversations about legal documents, forming trusts and nonprofits and things that they have voting rights within. And if you don't have the resources and can't manifest them, if you don't have a direct plan on how you're going to make a web page for it, how you're going to do it independent of me, instead of just saying, yeah, I'd like to run this thing and you have to finance it because I can't finance it. And I sometimes get confused and I say, well, I guess I could help write up like crowdfunding things for it or something. And it's like, fuck, I can't even write up crowdfunding stuff for my own stuff. I'm burned out. I'm tired. And I have a great vision for this place that I continue to work on and investing in some of the intangible infrastructure, and not as investing as much in the real infrastructure because I'm out of money, and that takes labor. So let's not fuck around and kid ourselves. I think some of these gatherings of people interested in intentional community are just a bunch of people waiting to see if they can scam a group. And groups fall apart when they allow a bunch of people to join them who don't have anything very tangible to offer. And you would also like to not be abused by a group. But if you're coming into a group and not offering anything of services or finances very direct that the community can support, like if you're offering internal services, there better be a market for it. Because there's not a lot of financial stuff going on around here. Although one of the options is to develop local businesses that don't compete with other local businesses, because we don't want to piss people off, but add to the income of the larger community. So you can use the larger community area potentially. I mean, if you're really trusted and you're a very honest and straightforward person and you have the right skill set and your business plan is any good at all and not delusional and dumb. And I'll be real straightforward in trying to look at that with you and figure out, is this a good thing for the community at all? And can it survive? In other words, that's on you. It's on you to figure out your financial survival here. And so I say that somewhat frustrated by the just hundreds and hundreds of people who are constantly wanting to create a community where they don't pay anything and everyone else does, or one other person does, which is even worse. And I'm picturing one in which a lot of people pay a rent to live here, and that money goes into infrastructure that then benefits livability and the benefits of living here in community. And that number should not be a small number. If you want to live with a bunch of people who want to all contribute very small numbers, go do that. I don't wish to do it because I want a flourishing of building, and I want a flourishing of programs and businesses being set up. I want to be planting more. I want to be having more fun. And that's going to require people with resources to cause that to occur. There isn't any other way it's going to occur. And we can talk about grants and stuff. They're hard to get, from what I hear. We can talk about programs to start, but that doesn't mean I can start them. That means somebody else has to start each one of them and struggle through it like a startup business. Think like a business person if you're going to be involved. How are you going to profit massively from it? And that's not the bigger goal, but how can you profit the system from it that you then profit by getting to be part of? You want to be in an exclusive space where people are successful and creating a lot of stuff, and it's really an exciting area to be in, then you are going to yourself have to be an exceptional person and be making exceptional offers to invest in this space. That's it. Let's not pussyfoot around it anymore. I do not have time to talk to people with no money anymore, except to put them on a different list and say, when we grow to the point where we have internal jobs, where we trust you that you're going to do something good, then we'll invite you and test you out and see if you're any good. And there will be internal jobs right away. But let's prove it. Let's get real.